a Google search here, as you can see, for the words real estate market, and literally right next to each other on the bottom are completely conflicting headlines, right? We've got housing crisis means that home prices won't come down. Sorry, millennials. Literally right next to the housing market is entering the most significant contraction in whatever that next word is. So in one of those, they're saying, hey, it's going up. Sorry, millennials. And in the other, they're saying, no, this is all coming down. We want to help you make informed decisions, not just have you end up making life decisions or lack thereof based on news clickbait. That's what this is all about. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Michael Kreslowski with Team K Realty. Yes, today we are talking about a market update, in particular stats and headlines versus the reality of the market. And this is an excerpt from a class that I taught with our buyer specialist, Noelle Moen, and Joshua Kittle of Cross Country Mortgage. The overall class was called The Sky Isn't Falling and There Is No Bubble, What You Need to Know About Home Buying Today. And we're going to dive in right now, so please keep in mind that this is not a commitment to lend, we're not quoting actual interest rates, we're equal opportunity, housing and lending, and this is not to be considered investing, financial, tax, or legal advice. Please do consult those respective experts. Hey folks, I'm Michael Kreslowski with Team K Realty. This is our team member and buyer specialist, Noelle Moen.
Hi.
She's been helping kind of behind the scenes and then officially for almost 2 years, officially for one of those 2 years. It took a year for me to be smart enough to be like, hey, let's sign paperwork and do this for real. She was like, about darn time. And Joshua Kittle, outstanding local mortgage broker at Cross Country Mortgage. We've been working with him for most of my career. I've been at this officially for 10 years or so. So you've been doing this for 19 years?
Yeah, 19.
We love our local mortgage brokers. Joshua Kittle is absolutely top-notch, and you're going to see that in this presentation because he's going to be talking through a lot of number crunches. So this isn't a home buying 101. We're going to go through some of the purchasing process, a distilled version for you. Home buying 101 is a totally separate meeting, and we usually do that one-on-one because of the amount of questions that are involved. But we're going to go through that information along with what's going on in the market, what's going on with interest rates, and some really, really great rent versus buy comparison information, because we want you guys to not be intimidated by what you're seeing on news headlines that are nationwide about the economy and home buying. We want you to actually see the power of home ownership and feel comfortable making informed decisions in this market, because that's the point of what we do. And some of you have already done that, so I really appreciate that you're still here to keep tabs on what's happening in the markets, that you can be making informed decisions moving forward on replacement properties, investment properties, all that good stuff. It's fun getting to be a part of the team. All right, so that being said, the sky isn't falling and there is no bubble. Here's what you need to know about home buying these days. And so we're going to go through a bunch of information here, and we'll just go back and forth and kind of speak extemporaneously and add on to each other's info. So let us know if you have questions as you go. Can we do the next slide?
Yeah, let's just introduce each other. This is Joshua Kittle. He is a senior loan advisor over at Cross Country Mortgage. Then we have Michael Kreslowski and myself here. We're both realtors here at RE/MAX Integrity.
And you've got our license numbers and stuff up there for regulatory.
Yep. That's kind of why I did the business card, make sure we had all the compliance there, so the state's very happy with us. So there's my licensing number and all that good stuff.
You don't need to memorize them. They don't serve any purpose in that regard. All right. And part of what started, or rather prompted us to do this session with you guys, is that about 6 months or so ago, we realized that a lot of our clients were just completely freaking out based on what they're seeing on nationwide news. And so we immediately made a video a month after that realization called Headlines versus Home Sales. No one laughed, that's okay. So we immediately made a video a month later and talked about, here's the reality of what's happening in our local market. And that's a big part of what we want to communicate to you today, is that real estate isn't even just local, it's hyper-local, right? When you're reading headlines that are meant to get you to click on them because they want to sell advertising, there may be useful info there, but you can't simply make a local decision based on a nationwide average for what's happening in nationwide real estate market, because that's not how this works. So if we could go to the next slide, please, too. Just to show you an example discussion piece that was talked about during that YouTube video, which you can watch if you want to spend another half hour listening to that. We've got a Google search here, as you can see, for the words real estate market, and literally right next to each other on the bottom are completely conflicting headlines, right? We've got housing crisis means that home prices won't come down. Sorry, millennials. literally right next to the housing market is entering the most significant contraction in whatever that next word is. So in one of those, they're saying, hey, it's going up, sorry, millennials. And in the other, they're saying, no, this is all coming down. We want to help you make informed decisions, not just have you end up making life decisions or lack thereof based on news clickbait. That's what this is all about. Next.
So as Michael was saying earlier, real estate is hyper-local. You should be focusing in your local area, not nationwide. It's really important because, you're really focused on, 123 Main Street here in Corvallis. You're not worried about 123 Main Street in Ohio. So being specific is really important, especially for the home that you actually want.
That's what it all comes down to. And so we want to make sure that you're not misinterpreting stats. I'm flashing back to a high school stats teacher, or math teacher, rather, that I had, who was a statistician. And the two big things that I remember from this guy, three. One were brush your teeth after lunch. He always had a toothbrush in his pocket. Another one was don't gamble at the casino, because I'm pretty sure he was a recovered gambling person. He always talked to us about which games had the best odds or worst odds. And then another one was, hey, don't misinterpret stats. And it's very, very common that we'll be looking at what's going on in the news and see a headline like, home values are dropping or home prices are dropping, right? Sometimes they are deliberately worded and they're accurate, but the way that you read them as a client, as opposed to a real estate professional, is, wait, home prices are dropping? And you think that's the same as home values dropping. And that's just not how it works. Those are different things. So it's really commonplace that we're having to fix your interpretation of a headline or a statistic because you're thinking it means something that it doesn't necessarily mean, right? So in this one, we've got just a little home search in the local multiple listing service. This is where we cooperate with other agents to buy and sell properties. And I think what I put in here was just criteria saying, oh, it's on the screen. All active, pending and sold, residences in Corvallis. For the past, it was something like 6 months when I took this screenshot. So there were 302 listings that showed up, and the average list price was $587, and the average sold price was $556. The average price tag was higher than the average sold value. So you could look at that and say, home prices are being lowered. Home prices are dropping, but that doesn't mean that home values are dropping. These are different things. Would you mind clicking next for me?
I actually had a class in college called Lying with Statistics, and how to use numbers to just statistics to paint whatever you wanted to say by how you chose which side of the stat you took. So,
all right, so let's see if this makes sense. I redid the slide a couple of times to try to make it somehow visually representative of the past 10 or so years in the home buying market, or in the real estate market. All right, so keep this in mind. Two things can be true at once. It is possible for home sale prices to be lowered and for home values to be rising at the same time. So I'm gonna pull a faux pas and walk in front of the screen, but we were recording the screen too. So way back when, it might have been, and these are made up numbers, but to prove the example, to show the example, it might have been that a home was listed for about $300K and it sold for a little bit less. Okay, so home prices are declining in this example. A little bit later, homes may have been, on average, listed for $310K, sold for $300. Home prices are being lowered to sell homes. Do we all see that happening? Right? Okay. A little bit later, maybe we've got a more stable market, more even, and homes are listed for about $330 and selling for about $330. Okay. Now, what's happening with home values as this goes by? Are they going up or down? They're going up. But for two of these three data points, home prices were dropping to sell homes. But it doesn't mean that the home values were dropping as that happened. It means that the sticker price, which is in some ways completely irrelevant, was higher than what it actually sold for. When you're making an investment in real estate, which buying a home is still a type of investment, I would say, do you care about what the sticker price is or what the value in the actual purchase price is? I would say the latter. The sticker prices can be completely irrelevant to the goal you're trying to accomplish. Perception's important. So it's a bummer, for example, when this is the other way around, and you have to pay more than the sticker price, like this one, but the value is the value regardless of what the sticker price was on day one. So let's keep this going. Here, homes are selling for about what they're listed for. As time goes by, homes are selling for even more than they're listed for. And then as time goes by, selling for even more than they're listed for. And then maybe right now, or a few months ago, homes were actually listed way high because people were just a bit overambitious. and then they were selling for a bit less. Now, the times that happened, a lot of our sellers were like, man, that was a bummer. I thought I was going to get a lot more. Some of those sellers got a lot less than they thought they were going to get, but the values were still going up while that was happening. So their sticker price was different than their actual home value, but it's not like their value plummeted. Home sticker prices can be too high while the values are going up. Two things can be true at once. And right about now what we're seeing is that homes being sold way under the list price doesn't mean values are going down. Does this make sense? Should I put it a different way? Would that be helpful?
I would tag on too, because this is important, because again, the media talks about prices dropping, and we take that to think values are dropping. And that's the way that the message is kind of portrayed. The other thing the media will do a lot is, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between a median price and a mean price. And they don't understand what that means. And the media will go back and forth, because most people actually will kind of think that they mean the same thing, but they actually don't mean the same thing at all. And the media can choose which of those two numbers, again, lying with statistics. You're using real numbers, but you're kind of painting a false story. So median means that half the homes sold for more, half the homes sold for less. Has nothing to do with what actually happened with value within that. So you can actually see the median price going down, even though home values are going up. And what that's telling you is you have fewer high-end homes selling, and therefore to remove that median again from the lowest home to the highest home, where's the middle, and that's what's happening. So we've sold fewer here, just not for less, we just didn't sell them, therefore that moves that median price, whereas mean is more just the average. So again, watch that, because the news loves to go back and forth between those numbers to paint the story they want to paint.
Absolutely. And what we're trying to paint for you is, hey, here's the reality of what it's like to buy and sell a house right now.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
Okay. All right. So as we were talking, different types of homes sell for more or less in different types of markets as well. Like right now, because interest rates are so high, we're not seeing some of those really high $1 million plus listings flying off the shelves as much, because interest rates are a lot higher. There's fewer buyers as well. There's also not as many investment properties selling as well. Because interest rates are so high, it's really hard to find some cash flowing properties day one. So we're not seeing a lot of investment properties as well. And the average sales price is a reflection of what is being sold right now and not what the average home value is. So, be aware of that, considering that, just not too long ago, we were having those $1 million homes being listed and sold quite frequently. So that changes the average. Next slide. And now we go into fighting fear with facts. A lot of people go back to 2008 when we had a big bubble. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people misconstrue this market with being 2008. There's a ton of differences compared to 2008. If you want some homework, this is a great movie. Watch it. But basically, this was a lot of what happened in 2008 is basically there were predatory loans, so people couldn't actually afford their homes. And then they didn't have a lot of skin in the game, so they were okay to walk away. And that left a lot of foreclosures. There was also a lot of new construction happening at the same time as well. So that's why we had so many homes come on the market. So that's way different than what we are seeing here. Next slide.
And I've been waiting to make this reference for my entire career, because if you know me, you know that I love puns and wordplay and obscure song lyrics. So there's a Billy Joel song from, the mid-90s, something like that, No Man's Land, and it's a song about development. It talks about how there's low supply and high demand here in No Man's Land as they pave the parking lots and turn them into buildings and stuff. So I won't sing that at you because that would be inconsiderate, but you should totally listen to the song later and, just think about this reference. So keep this in mind. There aren't enough new homes being built. Real estate markets in general, they're all about supply and demand, right? That's not rocket science, it's a ratio. And here locally, 2 of our 3 towns in the Tri-Cities, as no one calls it, Corvallis and Philomath. I tried to make it a thing, it didn't work. Right, Corvallis and
Stop making fetch work.
I don't know what that means. Corvallis and Philomath are slow growth. Albany's not slow growth, but it's still pretty contained. It's not a sprawling metropolis like the towns or cities I used to live in Florida. No shade on Florida, but there's a reason that the joke in Florida was the state board is the construction crane. We don't have that here. So there aren't enough new homes being built, which is like it's like a vicious cycle for supply and demand. A lot of people move to the Mid-Valley here because the towns are small, things are compact, it's not sprawling everywhere. They like that, and they like it and move here, but there's no, 1,000 homes being built overnight to accommodate that. So it feeds off of itself. And the new construction that is going in isn't what most people are looking for anyway. So yes, I know if you're, a Corvallis native, which I'm not, but just to use the example, you're probably looking at this town and you're like, wow, it's changed so much in the past 20 or 30 years. And it has, but it's still barely any new construction compared to the demand for housing. We've got a really competitive market. And so supply is low, demand is high, and demand is high because supply is low, because it's not a big sprawling expansion. Does that make sense? I see nodding heads. Awesome. All right. Thanks for checking out this segment from The Sky Isn't Falling and There Is No Bubble. Be sure to stay tuned because next we are talking about what a housing bubble actually looks like and trying to time the market. And remember, if you want to work with my team to buy and sell homes in the Corvallis, Oregon area and throughout the Mid-Valley, just give us a call or zip us an email. Our contact info is on the description and the ender slide. Thanks and bye for now.